Fire Ashley. Welcome to the Salt Table Talks. I am your host, Fire Ash, and on this platform, we focus on inspiring hope through transformative stories, through inspirational moments, and through overcoming. The reason I started this podcast platform is because God showed me in Revelations 12 and 11 that we overcome by the word of our testimony. And the vision that I had for this podcast was to be able to provide a space for people to come on here and share their story, share how they overcame, to share what it is that they've went through, battled, faced, all the challenges they've experienced, and how they overcame and became the person that they are now. And so the thing about tonight is I realized before I can introduce you to any more of my friends, I need to first introduce you to me. So tonight's episode is This Is Me, the story of Ashley. I don't even know where to start, but I figure in order for you to get to know more of how I've overcome in the process of this show, you have to know more about me. And the one thing that I realized is that I've been so surface level with people. Like, I have friends and family members that I don't tell them everything. I became so accustomed to being a strong friend that I didn't feel like I had the voice to be able to share what was going on in my world. But I thank God for this platform because I believe that the very things that I've experienced are things that people need to hear. The one thing that I heard God telling me to talk about very, very boldly is insecurities. So I posted a video this week about insecurities, and I admitted the title literally was, I Think I'm Ugly, Addressing Insecurities. And so I think I would like to start there because my entire life, I always had the shadow of insecurities following me. There were people who thought that I was just this confident woman, this bold woman, but little did they know I was insecure, hiding behind this shadow of never feeling like I was enough, never feeling like I was valuable, never feeling like I was worthy. I had this shadow that I hid behind because I didn't feel like I deserved anything. And if I can think about like the root of it, where did it start? I can recall a moment on the playground. I think I might have been like, I'm going to say maybe like either first grade, second grade, third grade, one of those grades. Don't quote me. But I remember being in a grade and I was hanging around young ladies, little girls, and like I would watch the boys on the basketball court playing basketball. And I remember thinking to myself, they will never see me. And so how can I be seen by them? I thought I was an invisible girl. That was my story. Growing up, I was like, yeah, I'm invisible. They can't see me. And so I created this tomboy persona. And I figured if a man got to know me as just a friend, then I could get him to love me. I could get him to care about me because off like in the beginning of just encountering me, he would never see me. There's so many beautiful girls out in the world. He wouldn't look at me. And so I came up with this tomboy persona. And within me doing that, it brought me a place of comfort. It was like no one could ever reject me because I had the tomboy persona. So I wasn't even looking at you like a man. I wasn't even looking at you like that because we homies. You in the friend zone. I found that I put people in the friend zone so much that it started to hinder me. It was a way of me protecting and shielding me from getting my feelings hurt. But what God showed me is that the very things that I thought growing up were protecting me, were helping me, they were really the things that were hindering me from being able to really experience a real relationship with God, real and healthy, true love, real value and worth. I was hiding behind the fear of rejection so much that I rejected myself, I rejected other people, and I rejected God. The reason I want to talk about things that happen in my life is because God has been taking me through this spiritual surgery where I had to learn that trauma that goes unhealed is trauma that steals. Trauma, and let me break that down. Trauma that goes unhealed is trauma that has the power to steal. If you do not identify and address trauma, if you don't even pay attention and know that it's there, then it has the power to continue to steal aspects of your life. For me, rejection was stealing a part of my perception. At this point, is it bars or not? Because I be spitting them. But I had to come to this place of understanding that because I hid from my trauma, because I ran from it or I brushed it under the rug, I was never giving it enough attention to actually heal from it. It's some of us that are walking in this world claiming that we're healed, but really we ain't even began the healing process because we haven't allowed it to be revealed. God has shown me the purpose of me addressing things, facing things, is to help me overcome it. So I'm telling you my story, not because I'm looking for a pity party or I'm looking for sympathy. I'm telling you because God showed me there's power in my truth. There's power in me actually admitting it. Because the moment that you admit something and you can see it, you can feel it, there's truth to it, you can begin to identify it. I realized that rejection was not a part of God. God didn't reject me. He accepted me. God called me. He chose me. And once I started to identify the issue within me, I was able to really heal and see a different version of me. So so yeah, I grew up with many insecurities. I never felt like I could be loved. Like to be honest, when you grow up watching fairy tale movies and you see this pretty princess looking a specific type of way, I truly believe that that hinders the way that young women grow up seeing themselves. We see ourselves as trying to prove that we can become this image that isn't even realistic. The one thing I kind of want my money back on when it comes to movies is that they sold me a false dream that was never going to be my reality. I was always trying to aim up to be this person on a TV show or on a movie, but the thing about it is they show you what they want you to see, but not the reality of what's happening. And so once I came into the understanding that movies were fictional and yeah, they can inspire hope, but they're not reality, I had to face my reality. And one of the things that I used to see is I used to see skinny girls on movies. I used to see these skinny, pretty, either like lighter skin tone women. I would see things and think, dang, why am I not like that? And I would compare myself, and because I wasn't like that, I wouldn't feel like I was enough. And having this kind of mindset, it hindered me my entire, and I mean up until maybe 28, 29, I'm 29 going on 30, up until this point, it has hindered my view and my perspective. So it even impacted like the relationships that I had. I remember, and this is where we're going to get deep and we're going to be honest. You still with me? I remember that for most of my life, I was the friend who never dated. I never had a boyfriend. I never talked to guys for real. All of my friends, even like, you know, in elementary, you got your little boo thing. I never had a boo thing. I'd be like, ooh, he cute. I kind of want to talk to him. I'm not, because I already canceled out that he would never talk to me. It was several young men who I knew in elementary who I used to think, oh, he handsome. I want to talk to him, but I wouldn't want to because I didn't feel like he would ever receive me. So I just was his homeboy. The tomboy persona was literally like my comfort zone to protect me from getting hurt. So I remember like going more into high school. I started getting into like, after I figured out the system. My system was, if I get them to be my friend, they gonna like me. Like, you're gonna learn to love me because my personality is amazing. So 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 yeah, you're gonna learn to love me because my personality is absolutely amazing. And so I realized that a part of my personality was what would draw them in once I first got their attention. It was like I was playing bait and hook. Like let me bait them in by being a friend, then I hook them because they'll start to love me because I'm a great person. So as I continued on with this journey, I remember the first relationship that I actually got into. Jesus, I was so desperate to be loved by somebody that I accepted anything. And that's something that I think that we struggle with as women. Sometimes we could be so desperate to want love that we settle literally for anything that looks good. But everything that looks good is not good, and I had to learn that. One thing that I don't openly always talk about is the fact that the first relationship I was in was an abusive relationship. I had lived this life of not feeling, I felt very invincible. I didn't feel like nothing could ever touch me. I always thought that other people went through traumatic situations. I was like, man, this ain't, the trauma don't really hit me. But I didn't realize that even at a young age, I was experiencing trauma. I just didn't know what it looked like. So when I got into my first relationship, I wanted to love this man so bad, and I wanted him to love me so bad that I did whatever he wanted. Any money that I got, I was in high school, but any money that I did get, he had it. I knew he needed to get clothes. I buy all his clothes. I pick him up from school. Whatever it was that he wanted, I was gonna do it. I was a yes, yes, sir, yes, massa. No, I'm just kidding. But I was like so desperate to love that I didn't mind doing anything to get what I wanted, and that was literally love. But I remember that my grandma had told me, she let me know that if you let a man run over you, he will. And that's something that I had to realize. Oh shoot, we got some visitors on here. What's up, Melissa? What's up, Precious? So as I continue, we are going to have a session where I'll be able to take in some questions or just anything that you might want to say. So feel free to write it in here because I am going to be paying attention. But to just keep going with the story, my grandmother had told me, if you let a person run over you, they very much will. And I learned the hard way, oh, they for sure will. And one thing that, like I said, people didn't know is that I wanted to be loved so bad that even when it's crazy because I wrote these set of rules as a young girl. I think I was in 11th grade and I said, the list of no-nos, do nots, what I would never do. One, I would never accept a man that beat on me. That was number one. If he hit on me, I'm leaving. And it's crazy because as a woman, you say stuff like this, and when you're not in a situation, you think like, yeah, if somebody touch me, I'm gone. Like somebody cuss at me, I'm gone. But when you're in that situation, it's a whole different feeling versus when you're not. And so I realized at a young age that when I got into this relationship and I was really just searching for love, I wanted it. So when the young man had put his hands on me, I put up excuses. My grandmother called it out and she was like, Ashley, I know something is happening to you. That wrestling stuff ain't cute. I used to think, oh, we play fighting. This cute. We flirting. No, that play stuff wasn't cute. And I remember the more that the relationship evolved, the worse it got. And I started turning into this different person where if you thought I was insecure before, I was definitely insecure after. I started really becoming a shell of myself, not thinking that I was truly worthy of anything because I thought that I was beautiful. I thought I was beautiful before I met him. I thought I was. But then once we got into that relationship, he started telling me like, I mess with somebody that's better than you. I mess with somebody that's cuter than you. I mess with somebody like it was kind of like he was trying to get me to be more into him by telling me that he would find somebody else that was better than me. Now, think about it. If I already said I had insecurity growing up and this was something that I was battling with, once my man told me that he was going to look for other people that were better than me, it was like, okay, let me tighten up. Let me do a little bit better. And what I didn't realize is that I was getting manipulated. What my girl say? Know your worth. Until you're in that situation, you don't know. That's it. Like I used to feel like when people would say, "Oh, I wouldn't do that if that was me." Well, it's not you. What if you are actually in this situation? And I was a young girl who literally just wanted to be loved. So once I got into this situation where my man's, like I said, we were fighting, and I used to take pride in the fact that when we were fighting, that I would fight back. I used to be like, oh yeah, at least I fight back, not realizing this is such an unhealthy situation to be in. The one thing that I will never forget, because it's a multitude of memories that used to drive me. The one thing I never forget is before I ever got in a relationship, I was a very happy person. Insecurities and all, I was so happy. And then once I got into it, I started to shift. And there was a moment where, in this moment, I'm gonna try not to cry because this isn't something I talk about a lot, but there is this moment where I wanted to be a mother very badly. Like I growing up, I never thought about having kids, but because I wanted to be loved and I wanted to experience love, I wanted to have something that I could create that loved me. And so the person that I was dating, they wanted to have a kid very badly. And even though I wasn't rushing it, it was something that I wanted. And I remember I had got manipulated into a situation where they were pretty much like, let me know, like, you're going to have this baby. Stop taking your birth control. And think about it. Like I said, women, when we really want something, we do whatever to please this person. And I was like, I shouldn't do this because I'm about to go to college. Like, this is not a good idea. And yet it happened. And the reality is I was a freshman in college and I found myself pregnant, and I had to think, do I really want to raise a child in a world where I'm getting beat on? Do I really want to bring a child into a world that I can't even control? I'm literally hiding bruises every single day. I'm hiding the fact that I'm depressed. I'm hiding all of these things. Do I really want to bring a child into this world? And I had to make a decision that if given a chance to make that same decision now, I wouldn't have made the same decision I made then. As a young girl, I made the decision without telling my mom, without telling my grandmother, without telling my family that I was getting an abortion. I remember going into the clinic and trying to laugh it off. Remember, I told you in the beginning that I had a personality that had this tomboy feel to it. And another part of it was joking. I realized that in order to hide my pain, I joked it off. I played it off. So when I went into the clinic, I looked at it as it's no big deal. This happened to people every day. And so then I went into the clinic, and thankfully one of my friends was present. One of my friends was present, and they were waiting for me on the waiting room. What hurt the most is that the person that I did this with wasn't there to support me. So I go into the room, and as it's happening, I'm cracking jokes trying to make the lady feel better about doing her job. But really, I was trying to soothe myself. And then after it was over, the person I was dating, I remember he had called me over and he said, "Hey, I want to comfort you, I want to console you." And one thing I'll never forget is the moment that I went over there, I got beat up. I remember the baby that I was supposed to be carrying in my stomach was actually because it was no longer there, I was getting kicked in the stomach. I'll never forget literally being on the ground, getting kicked into, getting beat on, and then having to sit there and pick myself up and go home. I never forget that moment. And the reason I'm sharing this is, once again, not because I'm looking for empathy, but because I want you to see that even though I went through a situation that could have ultimately broke me, I let it build me. I used that moment in my life to seek God. I remember praying that same prayer every woman pray when they're in a relationship they ain't supposed to be in. I said, "God, if you just give me a sign, I will leave this heifer man. I will leave him." And I'm not gonna lie, before this moment, I had several signs. I had so many signs. I was praying. I was like, "God, give me." I wasn't even in the Bible, but I was praying. I was like, "God, give me some signs. Please give me some signs. Let me know if I should leave him. Just let him blink twice. Close his eyes. Let him go to sleep at 9 o'clock, 9:10." And the thing is, God will give us so many signs, and yet, are you willing to hear it? Are you willing to accept it? Because I knew the answer. It's so many times where we know the answer, and yet we still don't move on it. That's something that God had to deal with me on. Like, you knew the answer, Ashley. And it's not that I put you in a situation. I called you out of this situation a long time ago. And I'm going to pause right there, because I believe that God is calling us out of situations that he called us out of a long time ago. But it's us that try to stay in it because we want what we want. It's a verse in Proverbs chapter 3 where it talks about lean not onto your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways and know that he would direct your path. And what I didn't realize then is that I was leaning on my own understanding. God was trying to rescue me. He literally would show me so many things to let me know, like, this ain't it, Ashley. Let's go. And yet I was leaning on my understanding because I wanted to be loved so bad that I thought that my worth could only come in the form of a man that was putting his hands on me. I was only thinking that this is how a man loves you. I didn't think. And the crazy thing is, I grew up with great fathers. I had two fathers growing up, and yet still I didn't look at the fact that I had two fathers who loved me as like their princess. I was looking at the desire of what I wanted. And I believe that sometimes we can get so caught up in the desire of what we want that we miss out on the blessing that comes from God. I know what I know now that I didn't know then is that God is not calling for me to have a basic life. He's not calling for me to have basic. He's not calling for me to live anything that's basic. He's not calling me to have a basic relationship. He's not calling me into any place that is basic. He's calling me to live a fruitful life, to have fruitful relationships, to be fruitful. And so that was one thing that I really had to overcome, was living this life of understanding that what God had for me, that wasn't it. That for sure, that was not it. That was a very interesting. That was just an interesting place to be in. But another thing that I realized on this journey, because it's like I've gone through so much, and yet when people see me, they see the smile. They don't they don't necessarily see the things that I've gone through. They just see the literal smile that the one that I carry. And I think that there are so many people out there that are hurting, honestly, that are going through things and that need to know like this does exist. Like I can't overcome this. I can't get past this. That's why I told God I'm willing to expose myself. If I got to be the first one to expose myself and tell people what I've been through and show them that you are able and you are able to overcome, then so be it. I'll be the first one. I'll be the second one. I'll be the third one. I want to be the person who gives my generation an example to follow. Like, yo, if she could go through it, then so can I. If she can endure it, then so can I. If she can count on God and count it all joy, literally count it all joy. I don't look at my previous relationships or the first relationship. I don't look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as a lesson. It taught me how to talk to young women. It taught me how to know my worth and know and understand that what I was accepting was below the bar. It was low the bar. It was definitely not. It it wasn't it wasn't what I will receive now. And that traumatic time in my life, it definitely, I appreciate that it happened. Not that I would ever want to relive it, but I do appreciate that it happened because I've definitely learned like how to look at in the Bible in Romans 8:28, God says, all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And that's been one of my favorite scriptures majority of my life because I had to learn that literally everything that happens to me is happening for me. It's not that God allowed me to go through this situation so I could be this worst person. It's that he allowed me to go through this situation because every situation that I go through can turn out for his good. Everything that I've been through literally is for me to talk about the goodness of God. Yes, I was in a situation where I was abused, and yet I still came out and I was able to continue to help people with my story. Yes, I went all of the things that I've gone through, I don't look at them literally as anything bad. I look at it as a testimony. And that's the reason I created this show, because I truly believe that by hearing the testimonies, you can say, "Oh, I relate." Like, "Oh, she went through that. Oh, wow. And she overcame it. Oh, wow. Like, it's possible. Like, she let go of that relationship." Let me tell y'all something. God had called me to let go of relationships. I know I'm not the only one who has had an issue with letting go. I want to take a moment right now just to let you know, like, it's okay to let go. It's okay to take your hands off and not have control. It's okay to walk away from things that no longer serve you. It's okay, because what I realized is the things that you hold on to, they very well have a hold on you. You could be holding on to something and still allowing it to hold on to you. God could be calling you to step into the new promised land that he has promised you, and yet you're still holding on to the old chapter. You're holding on to Exodus. You hold on to slavery. You hold on to baggage. You're holding on. And I feel it in my spirit to really just hone in on, it's okay to let go. It's okay to move on. It's okay to go into a new chapter. Why would a person write a book if they wanted you to stay in chapter 1? It's a story in chapter 2 that God wants you to see, but you stuck on chapter 1 and you won't turn the page to see what's coming. God had told me in my life, like, be okay with moving to the next, because I'm always going to call you to greater and greater. Jesus told us greater works will we do. I believe that greater we would experience. And a part of those experiences is acknowledging where we were and choosing not to be that. One of my friends, my twin, Ariel, let me shout her out for a second. She had told me recently, she said, nothing changes if nothing changes. And the relationships that I encountered in my past, oh, that changed. Like, the worth that I didn't have, oh, that changed. The way that I used to see me, oh, that changed. For 27 years of life, I wasn't looking at myself through the lens of being amazing, beautiful, wonderful. I was looking at myself with a broken mirror, and I was like, well, if he did this to me and he left me and he this and this and this and this happened to me. Another thing God delivered me on is the me. Sometimes we could be so accustomed to me. This happened to me. This was did to me. They did this to me, that we don't realize that you're allowing, by speaking to me, you're never taking responsibility of you. Like, sometimes in order for you to heal, you got to stop looking at what they did to you. You got to look at, what can I do now to move forward? Because if you always focusing on what somebody else did to you, you're never going to move on. It's not always about what they did to me. What's the lesson that came with it? Yeah, they betrayed me, but it could have been something great. I'm a be real even more. I had a relationship 2 years ago, and I was trying to figure out, why did all of this stuff happen to me? And God had told me it didn't happen to you to hurt you. It happened for you to help you. All of the things that I exposed you to when you're in that relationship, I was building you up for where I was taking you. What I've learned to do is never to look at things as loss. I look at them as lessons. And we were talking on a Bible study recently, and I said, God told me to start saying, I don't never lose. I'm always learning how to win better. If I lose, that don't sound right. Anytime I don't win properly, I just learn how to win more effectively. Every single time I don't lose. So even if I didn't have relationships that worked out, that's okay. I didn't lose. I gained something every time. To me, the purpose of going through things is learn from it, learn through it, grow through it. Don't look at your situation and continue to stay in it. I was talking to my best friend the other day, and I was telling him, like, I had to learn that I am actively healing every day. To me, healing is a process, because you have new experiences every day. And when you're living a life for God, because I'm on a mission to live for God, and what that means to me is dying to myself. When you're on a mission to live for God, that means you can't live in the me, the me. When you always think about me, you won't always look at the hurt of me. You won't always look at people and think me. Sometimes it ain't about you. I think that I gotta say that out loud. Like, I'm gonna read these comments as I go, but sometimes it's really not about you. It's, oh, Mama Sonya, I see you on lessons learned. Yes, yes, Tree. The woe is me. Like, the woe is me is never gonna get you set free, because you're gonna always be focusing on what happened to me, what they did, and all of that. But what I hear God saying is, we need to start taking accountability. We need to start being proactive in our healing. We need to start addressing it. Yes, it happened to you. And as much as I want to say I'm sorry that it did, I don't want to say that, because there's a young girl, there's a young guy that it happened to too. And God is going to use you. He's going to use you to help that next person. When I realized that my life is not about me, it's about those connected to me, I started thinking differently. That's why I had to love myself more. That's why I had to start. When people ask me the question, they say, Ashley, how are you doing? If you ever pay attention, I say, I'm amazing. Why? Because I had to shift the way that I thought about myself. I'm amazing every day. Every single day, I'm amazing. We got Know Your Worth said, that's my word, accountability. Oh, y'all, let me tell y'all. Know Your Worth. I am a brand ambassador for the Know Your Worth brand. And let me tell you, they keep me accountable for sure of knowing my worth. They know I know my worth. But as I begin to close, because I feel like we get a little too deep, I do want to share a moment for me to answer some questions, or me to just kind of talk to the people in the chat. But the one thing that I truly feel that I wanted you guys to get from tonight is really just understanding, like, a part of overcoming is sharing your testimony. I came on here, once again, not to look for sympathy or empathy. I came on here to share my testimony. I didn't go through it and then come on a podcast to talk about it so we could just run over it. No, I went through it so I could tell another young lady, baby, if you going through it, you can overcome it too. Baby, if you in that relationship that may be very well hindering you, I'm a living testament to tell you that I broke it off and God took my life up. God elevated me. The more I let go of things, the old things, the more I let go of the negative things, the more I let go of what was literally holding me, the more I was able to see God more clearly. If God is calling you to let go of something, if he's calling you, my bro Dom said it best. He said shedding old skin is God. If God is calling you to shed old skin, and when I say let go, I'm not just saying like let go of a person. It could be you need to let go of a mindset. It could be you need to let go of some habits, because that's what God had been working with me on. He said the way that you thought towards yourself is a reflection of how you think of me. You walking in fear, so you're fearing that I'm not the author and controller. You're feeling that I'm not the author and finisher of your faith. You're fearing that I am not the one in control. You're fearing that I'm not the provider. You're fearing everything that I had an insecurity in me that was hindering me with my relationship with God. But now that I'm standing on God and I'm standing on the word and I'm standing on what God tells me, now that I'm standing on it, I'm assured in who I am, because he called me. He chose me. He said that he is the king. And if I'm his daughter, I always tell people this. If I'm his daughter, then I'm literally inherited to be a princess. I'm inherited to be a queen on this earth. If I can't say it enough. I cannot say it enough. I got James on here. You said on the other side of our suffering and struggles is us being firmly established. Oh, I love that. Being made whole and complete. Oh, I love that. Because that's what I'm walking in now. Yeah, the last thing I'm going to really share with y'all, and then I'm really just going to pay attention to y'all, is that within the last few months, God had, I love this song. It says, God will break you to build you. And what happened was I had to let all my walls down when it came to God. I had to let all of them down. Like I had to open my heart up to see all. God literally sat me in front of a mirror and I had to look at myself, all of me, not just the parts of me that I think are amazing, because sometimes we can see all of the beauty but never address the ugly. And so I stood in the mirror and God showed me the inner things that were still ugly in me. He showed me how my mindset was still, it had ugly parts to it. And once he showed it to me, he asked me, so what are we going to do about it? It's like if you go to the doctor, you could very well be told, hey, you got cancer, or yeah, something is off in your body. But the thing is, what are you going to do about it? You do have the choice to continue to see the doctor and continue to get that surgery. You do have the chance to be healed or to be worked on. Or you could be like, you know what? I don't need this doctor. I just go figure it out on my own, or I'm going to just live out this death. I would pray that you would choose life and that you would choose to be with the one that can actually help set you free. And so what I've been doing in these last few months is I've been quiet, because God had to perform a spiritual surgery in me. He told me the very works that I'm doing on you, I'm going to need you to do on those around you. He told me that once I finish with you, when you open your mouth, they're going to feel the power of me, because they're going to see a new Ashley. God, I went into the cocoon as Ashley, and I came out Fire Ash. I didn't give myself that nickname. God gave it to me, because he said when you speak, you're going to speak the fire of God, the power of God. You're going to move with authority. I went from being an insecure girl to a woman that's secure in God and knowing that I'm called and I'm chosen. Now I can tear down the strongholds. Now the very strongholds that I had on me, I can identify them, be able to pull them off my brothers and sisters. I can tear down the enemy's head. I can look at him and point him out and be like, hey, no, we ain't having that here. So yeah, tonight's focus was really, it was really on just exposing myself, that you could see like I've been through some things, but I've also overcame them. And I'm encouraging people like you can overcome. You can. I'm a living testament to it. I actually would love it if I could see in the comments anybody that can share like just something simple that you've overcome. Because we are wrapping up with the show. Oops.
Gotta go back.
So yeah, it's been a real interesting episode, y'all. Been real interesting. I done told y'all some of my little dirty secrets. Melissa said, yes, I tell my daughter all the time to know her worth. It's so important. Melissa said, I went through stage 3A breast cancer back in 2020, and I got it before I moved back to Flint. Wow. 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 One thing that I definitely have learned is that we really have to continue to trust in God We may not know why something is happening in a moment, but that doesn't mean that we deter away from our faith or that we break away from our faith. We have to continue to believe that even though we don't know what's happening in this moment, we have to believe beyond what we can see. This might be my current reality, but hope that is unseen is not hope at all. You can't see why you should have hope. You can, to me, having hope in God is literally being able to close my eyes and really not even pay attention to what's around me. Sometimes I do this activity where I close my eyes and I don't look at what's in front of me. I look at what he shows me because I know that when I pay attention to what he shows me, when I set my mind on things above and not things of this earth, when I pay attention to what God shows me, I see where I'm going. Sometimes you just got to stop and not look at where you're at, but pay attention to where you're going. Mm-mm-mm. It was just like the children of Israel. They were so focused on where they were at. They were complaining so much. I pray that anybody on this live right now, I just pray that we wouldn't complain about where we are, but that we would shout and that we would praise about where we're going. I truly believe that because you still have breath in your bodies, blood passing through your body, it's still a purpose for you here to serve. And Miss Melissa, it's a purpose for you here to serve. It's a purpose for you. If you are still here, still moving, still breathing, there's a purpose for you. And I read that you said that you tell your daughter to know her worth. It's a purpose for you to be able to give out those messages. I pray right now that you would continue to open your mouth and speak, not that you would allow anything, not to allow this to shut you up, but that you would use it to vocalize, that you would continue to praise even through it. Even though I may not have it, I do have a spirit of praise that I'm gonna praise my way through anything. This year I went through some very, 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 very hard times, but I praised. And I was reading this verse today in Psalms 39, I think it was 33, and it was talking about praising God and singing him a new song. And I looked deeper into it and I realized when you have something new, you praise it, you worship it. If I got a new phone today, this old phone, I could care less about this old phone. If I got a new phone, I would be like, oh, this is the best phone ever. And then a new phone comes out, and let's say I get that, this is the best phone ever. When it comes to my praise, I want to look at my praise like this is the best praise ever. I don't want to keep giving God just a basic praise. Oh, thank you, God, for waking me up today. That's a great praise. But I want to thank him. Thank you for waking me up. Thank you for giving me a podcast platform to be on. Thank you for connecting me with people that love me. Thank you for continuing to give me words to speak. Thank you. Like, I want to continue to give him new praises every day. He's doing so many things for me that I can't help but praise God. Know Your Worth says, bless the Lord, oh my soul, all that is within me. Oh, my soul cries out hallelujah. Come on. Oh, you about to give me a singing. Y'all know I'm not a singer. Sister Sonia said, I am learning to live by faith and not by sight, believing that better is coming, better days. That's a hashtag right there. Better days are definitely coming. And a part of like living out that better days is you have to see that better days are happening now. You have to live in the reality, or you have to live in the belief of now. My better days is happening now. I've been doing this thing lately where I have been saying, God, blow my mind today. Like, I'm going into every day with expectation. God, blow my mind today. And each time I go into the day with thinking like, God, you about to blow my mind today. He's been blowing my mind every single day. And I believe that living by faith is literally by faith today. I believe is happening. I'm not believing that in 2 days or in 3 years it's going to happen. No, by faith right now. It's happening. It's happening in the spirit, and I might just not be able to see it currently. So, Sister Sonia, whatever you are praying for or believing God for, I'm believing right now. It's happening. Just like I told y'all, I've been telling y'all since last year on Inspirational Ash Daily Devotion, I said the promised land was coming. And I'm seeing it happen before my eyes. Even before I was able to be blessed to be on a podcast platform, I was already believing that I was going to have a TV show. God said, you finna be on, you gonna have a show. And I was believing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have a show. So let me just set up my own situation for me to have a show. And since then I've been walking in it like, no, I'm going to speak the oracles of God. I'm going to speak, whether it's on my TikTok, doing something on my phone, I'm going to believe in the promise before the promise comes. God told me you need to be what you're believing me for. Be it now. I always tell people, whatever you're praying for, in order for you to become it, you must first be it. You gotta be it first before you can see it. Oh, mom, my spiritual mommy's on here. Hi, mommy. But yeah, you gotta be it before you can believe it. You it's all talk. Just like I always go back to like losing weight. Like that's something that me and one of my accountability partners has been on. But it's like if I'm not believing right now that I'm working on it right now, ooh, this is so good. If I'm not believing it right now and I'm working on it right now, then I'm not gonna see the fruit of the results of it. I'm not gonna see the fruit of it because I'm not doing anything that showcases my belief. Literally, every day you have to do something that moves you toward to what you can see. If you know you can see yourself looking better, you're gonna put in the work knowing that if I work out this muscle, it's gonna help me get to what I'm looking towards. Are you operating your spiritual muscles? Are you operating your spiritual faith knowing that if I do this one thing, it's helping me get closer? If I do this small thing, it's helping me get closer. I promise you, I'm in the place that I'm going to do right now what I know I'm going to do then. It might be on a lower scale, but I'm believing that God is going to show out. And if he just trusts me with this small thing, that I know he going to blow my mind with greater. Oh my goodness. Walking in destiny. Oh, tonight has definitely been real good. Y'all got me out here telling all my business, all my secrets. But yeah, that's one thing that I want people to hone in on. Like, you gotta believe before you can see it. That's literally having hope. When God gives you that vision in your mind, he's giving you a piece of the puzzle to show you. It's, oh my goodness, here's another thought. It's just like when you're looking at a puzzle box. Before you can do the puzzle, you first see what it looks like. God gives you a vision. He's showing you what it looks like. And then you have to put the puzzle pieces on the table. The way that I see God is that he put the puzzle pieces out on the table, but he's so sweet that he would just give me a few at a time. Because he know, I ain't gonna lie, he know I can't handle them all at once. He know that in order for me to trust him, he gotta feed it to me. He gotta give it to me one by one or maybe two by two. Because I believe the more that he feeds me, he gives me, the more I begin to trust him and know like, oh yeah. It's like I start to get stronger in my faith when he gives me a little bit more. He gives me a little bit more. But this is the thing. You have to continue to believe that what you saw on that puzzle box, what you saw in that vision, is going to happen. If you start doubting, at this point, you're not even believing it's gonna happen. Then you're gonna stop moving like it's gonna happen. Me personally, I know that God got greater for me. So guess what? I'm walking in that authority. I'm walking in the now. I had said recently, I got it is finished faith. It's finished. Literally, I heard God tell me doors are already open. I'm just navigating you to them. It's just like if you're traveling, literally the hotel is already there. You done booked your room. God, this is good. We couldn't make this up. You didn't. When I'm praying, I see that as me booking my room. I'm literally depositing my faith and saying, God, I trust that where you taking me, it's already taken care of. The room already paid. I paid it because I'm paying it through prayer, right? And then as I'm going to get to the destination, let's say I'm driving in a car, what is GPS for? That's God. He's literally guiding me to get to where I'm going. And the crazy thing is when you literally pay for a hotel, when you pay for it in advance, you know that when you get there that they're about to service you. You know you're not going to have to worry about anything. You're not worried about, oh, let me make sure I got food in this place. You already know it's already taken care of. And so I'm encouraging you to look at faith like that. Like when I'm praying, I'm depositing my money knowing that it's coming. And then as he guides me on a journey to get to the destination, I know when I get to the hotel, it's already prepared. I don't even have to worry about it. Who else we got on here? Prayer, spiritual cash. Yes, literally. It's spiritual cash. I'm just putting in this spiritual cash and letting y'all know like it's already paid. It's already paid. Is there anything else that anybody else would like to talk about? We do have a little bit more time to be able to talk freely. Anybody got something they want to add to the comments? Portion control, that's good. Portion control. James said, God's purpose will always cause us to overcome. He turns ashes into something beautiful. See, and that's, James, you hitting it, because that's part of what I was talking about tonight. Like, understanding that everything that I went through, literally from getting abused, from having an abortion. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I also didn't mention from getting raped. Like those things that I encountered, I believe everything that I experienced, Romans 8 and 28, it all works together for the good. Literally, what I thought or what the world may think or see as something that's bad, I'm looking at it as beautiful because it helped build my relationship with God. When I realized that I was so lost that I was looking at the world for answers and I started turning to God like, God, this can't be it. This cannot be it. He was showing me so many things to blow my mind, to open me up to see him. The worst situation that you can be in could be the best situation to help you see God. Instead of me looking at it like, dang, I went through that, I'm going to praise him like, thank you, God, that you brought me through that. I thank you, God, that I lived to be able to testify and say I got through it. I'm thanking you, God, because I overcame it. Man, God is just so good. I love me some God. Who I can talk about God all day. What's up, Delisha? What's going on, girl? Hi, Mama Sheila. What's going on, Queen? Look, Know Your Worth said it's already done. We gotta just keep that going. It's already done. I remember I was praying the other day, and as I was praying, I was asking God for something. And another thing that God had told me was like, some stuff you gonna have to fight for. Like, this is something I really want you to hear. If you weren't listening before, please listen to this. Some stuff you're gonna have to fight for. Some stuff you're gonna have to sacrifice for. Because I had been asking God for something. He said, like, I'm gonna give you an example. Speaking, I asked God, like, this year I want you to open up the opportunities for me to speak your word, for me to have the opportunities to give into the speaking career. And it was several days where, if I'm being honest, I did not feel like speaking. He set it up for me to speak, but did not feel like speaking. And God told me, you're going to have to press. You're going to have to fight. You have to endure. Some of the things that you praying for, like some of us, we really earnestly praying, I want this, God, but are you willing to fight for it? God had told me, you're going to have to fast. You're going to have to take some time away from sleeping and maybe spend more time praying for me. It's certain things that you praying for that I'm going to need you to intercede on. It's certain things that I'm going to need you to do in order for you to get to it. You got to fight. You said, Marilyn said, it's all good. It builds character in you. It also makes a better story where God can get the glory, period. She a rapper. I don't know if y'all know. She an artist. She be rapping, spitting bars all the time. She just be going in. We got a new song coming out. I hope you see me winking, waiting for it to drop. God says, the violent take it by force. Take your stuff back. Yes. Fight. Take your... See, and she know, because I done talked to her about this. Taking your stuff back, having ownership of what God had for you. That's something I had to realize. Like, one thing that I had struggled with previously before, I always got to shout my church out. Greater Mount Zion GMZ. Come visit us. We Sunday, 11:15. It's always good. You're going to feel the spirit, the fire of God. But before I came to the church, I was in a situation where I was literally keeping my mouth shut. I was not speaking at all. But I know God called me to speak. And when I got to the church, God had placed me around so many people that not only believed in me, but they supported me. And they was like, I don't care what we got to do. We got to get that out of you. We got to get it out of you. It's something in you that God is going to use that we got to get out of you. And what I appreciate is that my spiritual family, even my family, all the families that I have are great. My spiritual family, they was like fighting with me. Like they were laboring amongst me to fight to get it out. And that's what I mean by you have to fight. Sometimes the fight is not about you. Sometimes the fight is for somebody else. Sometimes you got to fight for your kids because they might not be able to fight for themselves and they need you to fight for them. It's people out here that don't know how to fight. They don't even know that they're literally walking dead. They don't know that they walking dead in their sins. They don't know. And for me, I'm like, if I say I'm living for God, I really want to live for him to where I'm fighting for people. I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting for my friends. I'm fighting. If you can't fight for yourself this day, I'm going to fight for you. I heard God tell me we got to start fighting. He's been showing me this visual of us us people on the army or on the battlefield. Like if you ever watched a movie where somebody was at war on a battlefield, boom, 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 boom. God had shown me a vision of us on a battlefield, and He said sometimes your brother or sister might get wounded, and I'm gonna need you to go and pretty much cover them so that they can tend to that wound that they have. Or maybe I might need you to put them on your shoulder and get them to safety, and then get back on the battlefield. We are in such dire times where we got to be willing to fight to put our. We were just talking about on Bible study putting on the whole armor of God and what that means to us. And I believe that we got to stay strapped up. We got to stay locked in, because the enemy is always going to look for a place where he can get in position and take us out. It's some of our people that's out here they out here just without armor. If you see a brother or sister without armor, please fight for them. Please fight for them. Know your worth saying you going through for somebody else. Yep, you going through for somebody else. Tanya said, I'm taking my promised land. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, you got the message, Mama Marilyn. God gang, I need that to come out. We need that to drop ASAP. Just saying, God gang over everything. But yeah. We gotta fight. We have to fight. Dang, I see all my family on here. What's up, y'all? But yeah, we definitely have to fight, because the one thing I love about GMZ is when you come to the church, you know that you're gonna experience, like, we gonna fight for you. We be waging war at the altar. Like, we don't play. If you coming in there and let's just say you coming in there and you looking for healing, or maybe you're looking to break off some of the old chains, or maybe you're looking to shake this depression, or maybe you're looking to shake the rejection. We gonna look, you bringing it in, and we gonna find it, and we gonna chop that off. That's the one thing that I truly love about my church, is that we're not gonna leave one brother or sister hanging. I've watched several times where in my own life where I've been low, and my sisters and brothers, they will fight for me. They like, what's going on, Ashley? I got you. You need me to pray for you? I got you. You need me to cover you? I got you. You need me to hug you? I got you. And that's what we need to do to the people in the world. Like, it's not just about what happens in the church. It's about what happens in these streets. Are you giving people the same fight that you would at church? That's something God had to convict me on, because I had realized I was only giving a piece of Him to the world. I would give it in places that I was familiar with, or that I was comfortable with. But God said, I'm calling you to uncomfortable places. I'm calling you to the streets. I'm calling you to the places where they really need me. Sometimes people won't come to God unless you bring them to Him first. At our church, we literally say that if the people won't come to Jesus, we will take Jesus to the people. I feel like if my pastor was on here, he'd be so proud. He's so proud. I'm out here quoting mission statements and all. James said, reminds me of... Huh?
You already liked it.
Oh, okay. Reminds me of Hebrews 10:35. Do not throw away your confidence. It holds a great reward. Oh, that's beautiful. Erica, what's going on? But yeah, brothers and sisters keepers. We are our sisters and brothers keepers, even when they don't know it. The one thing that we gotta stop being afraid of is rejection. Sometimes people just don't know what they don't know. And that's okay. Like, when I did, my grandma, she used to try and put me up on so much game when it came to, like, my walk with Christ. I just didn't know what I didn't know. But guess what? My grandma, she kept praying for me. That's for sure. I thank God for the woman that I became today, because my family, they kept praying for me. They literally continued to pray for me. When I was in my darkest of battles, they prayed for me. And I believe that God heard them prayers, and He was like, oh, no, don't worry. I got her. She mine. Like, she mine. She good. And watch how I turn this bad into good for me. So, yeah, guys, we are coming up to the point where we are about to close it out. It's been a real good episode. I'm so glad that everybody tuned in on this beautiful Thursday evening. As I've said before, the Salt Table Talks is literally a platform where I want to showcase stories. I want to talk about how we overcome literally by the word of our testimony. It's so much power in just sharing what you've been through and how you overcame it. And so if you are interested in being on the show, definitely contact me, and let's talk about it. I do have a dope guest coming in next Thursday. I'm gonna leave it for the surprise. Check out the flyer that's coming out, and I'm very excited for you guys to hear this young man's story. He is coming He don't even live in the area. I got somebody traveling in just for this episode. This young man definitely has a story worth hearing. And just to give you a glimpse of what's coming, my man's went from being in the streets to preaching the gospel. And so I'm very excited for you to hear how God delivered him from the streets to literally walking this life of literally being a street fighter to fighting in the gospel. So with that, that is to the end of today's episode of The Salt Table Talks. And once again, I am your host, Fire Ash, and I cannot wait to see you again on the next one. All right, friends. I love y'all. Peace. See y'all later.